Now, the Department for Education's consultation on gender issues among pupils closes today. The proposals could make it mandatory for teachers to tell parents if their child is questioning their gender. But critics have warned this could prevent young people from being able to explore their gender identity. Well, joining us now from Bristol is teacher and journalist Debbie Hayton, who believes that if the government is serious, their advice wouldn't be guidance, it would be law. And discrimination barrister Robin White, who thinks this guidance should be torn up and thrown away as it could end up alienating students. So what is the right thing to do here? Debbie, can you go first for us? Can you just tell us a little bit about this legislation and why you're against it?
Well, it's guidance rather than legislation, and it's guidance from the government to schools on how to help transgender identified children who are questioning their gender, as the saying goes. My problem is that it's guidance rather than something mandatory. So schools can pick and choose guidance. They can choose whether to take this guidance or not. And that leaves teachers like myself still in a vulnerable position of knowing what the best thing to do is.
And Robin,
having said that, I broadly welcome what the government's got to say in that these issues should be treated in the same way as any other issues in school where parents are routinely informed if there's some serious issue involving their children.
Robin, Debbie's got a point there that it's quite difficult for teachers to know if there's no hard and fast rule. But at the end of the day, is it really a serious issue if a child is questioning their gender identity? Is it something that they should be allowed to do without their parents having to be informed?
Well, unfortunately, the guidance as written would lead schools to act completely unlawfully. There are a couple of principles here. One is the best interest of the child principle. And whilst one would expect that the vast majority of parents are very supportive of their children, act properly towards them, schools commonly deal with circumstances where there is a difficulty between the child and their parents. And outing a child in this way to a set of unsupportive parents could very definitely not be in the best interest of the child.
That's my... Listen, I'm not an expert. Nick would know a lot more than me. I think as a parent, I'm probably going to say the wrong thing. I would really hope that my children would be able to talk to me. That does not in any way detract from the fact that there are kids whose parents, for want of a better phrase, ain't up to scratch. My concern would be, for the few whose parents aren't up to scratch, that parents who do a damn good job could face feeling, Debbie, that they are left out of the loop. And I'm being honest when I say to you both, that would absolutely infuriate me.
Yes, there are some parents who you wouldn't routinely inform issues in school, but that's a totally different matter. The vast majority of parents are involved with their children.
Yeah.
And we're risking situations where everybody knows in school that a child is experimenting with their gender. The teachers all know, the friends all know, every child in school knows, apart from the two parents. That is the ludicrous situation which risk happening, and that's why this guidance is needed.
But Robin, is this actually a widespread issue? We know so often when there are debates around anything to do with trans or gender issues, it can be blown up out of proportion. But are there really that many children in school who don't feel like they are able to show their gender identity at home, even though they have good relationships with their parents? Or is it only those children who potentially would be in danger or certainly have safeguarding issues if their parents were to find out?
Yeah, that's the judgment the school has to make. The school has to listen to the child and make a judgment as to whether they believe, back to the principle, it's in the best interest of the child in accordance with the safeguarding principles that are set out in statutory guidance called Keeping Children Safe in Education, known as CASE. And they make that judgment based on the same considerations apply to a child who's coming out as gay at school. They're hopefully, the vast majority of parents are supportive of their children, no matter who they turn out to be as they grow and develop. But exactly as the presenter has mentioned, there are a small number of parents who pose a difficulty.
I'm the presenter. Well done. Can I say something else that is, as I say, I'm not an expert in any way. I guess a lot of parents watching this, like me, and I don't mean to in any way, done this long enough to disrespect people who have that situation in their lives. Do we fear that several or many children, Debbie, well, both of you really, could be pliable by their peer group? I know I'm not trying to trivialise it. I'm trying to ask, do we get to a point where social media, peer pressure, that people might try to change, begin a process, and there's the danger, because as a parent, do you know what I'm trying to say? I would want to know.
I know, but we're not talking about anybody who's... we're talking about social transitioning here, I believe, rather than medical or certainly surgical transitioning. We're talking about somebody being referred to with a different pronoun in school and asking for teachers and their friends to do that, but not necessarily letting their parents know. Is that right, Debbie?
Yes, we're talking about situations where the child changes the name in school, changes a pronoun in school, and all teachers are using that name and that pronoun routinely for the child until it comes to writing a school report, when teachers are then told to use a different name on the school report.
It's not fair, the pressure on teachers,
is
it? I have to say that the pressure on teachers is ridiculous.
But have you ever experienced that, Debbie, as a teacher?
No, I haven't. But it's widely reported that happens, and I just think it's wrong that parents are being cut out of the loop here. As Jeremy was saying, children are picking these things up online. Social media is influencing them. The peer group is reinforcing this, and the two people in that child's life who should be the most important people risk being cut out of these discussions.
Which is difficult. But Debbie, as a teacher, if you had a child coming to you saying that they were questioning their gender identity and you said, well, I'm going to have to tell your parents, and they were begging you not to do that because of safeguarding issues, what kind of situation would you find yourself in?
I'm a teacher, so I'm used to the normal safeguarding rules that apply. If a child makes a disclosure to me in school, I never say I'm going to talk to your parents about that. But I do let the child know that I will have to inform other colleagues in school as per normal safeguarding procedures.
We have to leave it there, but thank you both.
Thank you both
very
much for joining us this morning. Teacher Debbie Hayton and discrimination barrister Robin White.